Well, good morning, Mrs. Harrigan.
Good morning.
You were up in Longmont a couple Sundays ago, and of course, as people are watching this, you will have spoken at church yesterday, if we're pretending to be into the future right now.
Okay.
And it was the greatest sermon ever delivered. Um, yeah, we've
Set me
decided
up
to
for
stick.
failure. Why don't you?
Yeah, exactly. No pressure, but we've decided to stay in Vietnam where we're at. But you and Chris have been a huge blessing to me and Donna and to this church, and we feel like you're a part of this church. So thank you, and thank you for helping with the podcast today as well. That's awesome.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Cool. And I like the way your shirt color coordinates with the color of the office. With varieties of maroon or mauve going on. We're kicking off a new series on, it's called Empowered, and it's about the Holy Spirit and Pentecost. And this is a series that the entire is a kind of a vineyard movement, vineyard-wide series that a lot of churches are doing. And I love it because we get to take 6 weeks and just focus on the Holy Spirit and leading up to Pentecost, which will be kind of the finale. But doing it, it just feels like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. It's going to just be so refreshing. Of course, we're on a vacation, and you guys have come up and are preaching at our church for us. So we're thrilled about that. So what do you think about a series on the Holy Spirit? How does that hit you? What were maybe some of your initial thoughts when you found out you're going to be speaking on this?
Oh, I am so excited. One of the things that we love about Vineyard is the emphasis on the Holy Spirit and how everybody gets to play, that we're all empowered through him, that we don't really control it, but we can be filled with it and be a part of it. And
yeah, the idea that all of us get to do it, it's pretty radical, and it's also kind of intimidating. Because how on earth does that happen through me? And yet when it does, it's pretty exciting, pretty joyful.
Yeah.
I remember I was a new Christian. I was 19 years old, and my first church experience was pretty rough. It was with a very legalistic church, and really they were very doctrinal focused and thought they were the only true Christians. Their denomination was the only true Christian church, and I'd gotten out of that, but I was feeling sort of a vacuum, and then I had my first really powerful Holy Spirit experience, including like speaking in tongues and stuff like that, and that would have been 80 fall of 82, but it really it anchored me and helped me to know that God was present and God was love, and so yeah, it's amazing how important the Holy Spirit is.
Chris and I met in St. Louis when we were both going to school. He got a job here. He's a urologist here in Canyon City, and I manage his practice. But when the wonderful Donna and Alex left our church and we went through COVID, we were kind of short-staffed at Vineyard, and so Chris and I stepped up and became the youth pastors. And yes, I serve on the board of Star Point. I think next year will be 20 years.
Oh,
and
my goodness, you've been doing that for 20 years.
For Star Point, yeah. And I love that. And yeah, we just finished our last night to shine without Donna. Donna was always helping, but this year, we finished the last one in 2020. We finally got to repeat it in 2023. Okay. Went beautifully well. One of my favorite nights of the year.
Yeah, it's a prom night for adults with disabilities, and I think that event takes more work than any other event that Donna was ever a part of. And really, the reason we left Canyon City was that event was just too much to handle.
You nailed it. It is a lot of work, and we had a brand new team this year. I mean, there were about 4 of us that were still around from before. So yeah, it was a lot of work.
Days.
Yeah.
But
totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Yeah, I agree. It's the greatest night of the year, and I would pretty much be Donna's little helper for those events. But yeah, I mean, as I remember it, 100 or 150 adults with disabilities, and then another 200 or 300 volunteers as their sponsors or their buddies. and it's just a wild party in honor of them. And how did
Yeah.
you how did you get involved with working with adults with disabilities? Is there, I mean, 20 years is a long time. What got you into that?
So my sister is special needs. She has cerebral palsy, and she was visiting, and I asked Roger Jensen to do our family pictures, me and my sister and my mom. Anyway, he said, we're starting this foundation. Would you like to be a part of it? And I jumped at it.
So
Yeah.
they literally started it, and you were a helping part of that
At the inception. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And back
Yeah.
then we didn't do much. There wasn't a lot to do. We kept trying to raise money. Most of their funds come from government
Mhm.
assistance, but those were drying up. And so they were trying to do fundraiser. And I tell you, way back in the day, we would have fundraisers and make $100 or lose money. It was terrible. People didn't see the need, and people just didn't have a heart for it. And Night to Shine has really been a blessing that has brought that need to the forefront. That special needs people are just as much a part of the community.
Yes.
And so it's been Night to Shine has been a huge blessing. Thank you,
Night to
Tim
Shine.
Tebow.
I was just going to ask. That was. I knew Tim Tebow was leading it, but that was his. He developed that idea.
Yes.
Where he's the face of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to admit. And I don't know what it is, but I've always until getting involved in your church, I sort of avoided adults with disabilities, probably because I was able to. And it's interesting to me that your sister, that you had a special needs sister, and so you couldn't avoid it if you love your sister. And we had, of course, the church down there has lots of adults with disabilities, and I just was sort of had an uneasy coexistence. And then things began to change, and I'm sure the Night to Shine had a lot to do with that. But a lot of these people becoming my best friends, and I remember Corey roped me into giving rides to these people to
I remember
Wednesday.
that. Yes.
I was mad.
And
Actually,
Alex.
Holy Spirit.